The toy trains produced at any given time are often a reflection of society at that time. In the 1930s, as American railroads looked to the future with streamlined steam and diesel passenger trains, Lionel Trains and others followed along, creating models of Hiawatha's, Pennsy torpedoes, Flying Yankees, and Zephyrs. The popularity of space and military trains in the post-war era was a reflection of the Cold War and of the space race. The resurgence of models of 19th century trains like the General in the late 1950s reflected America's nostalgia for the Old West and also for the centennial of the American Civil War. The popularity of patriotic trains in the mid-1970s reflected the resurgence of American pride as the nation's bicentennial approached in 1976. And in the same manner, this set of three cars is a reflection of cultural and political debate in America at the time it was produced. Hello again, this is Mike with another episode of Toy Train Tips and Tricks. Let's take a closer look at the Old Glory series. First, the models. This is the number 6-19599, the Old Glory series, an uncataloged offering from 1989. This set of three commemorative woodsided reefers comes in a specially decorated outer box featuring lots of American flags and spelling out the Old Glory series. Within this outer box, each car is encased within its own window box. Each car represents a significant historical event of the United States in the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. An historical quote, a flag of the era, and a graphic representation of the event. I can tell that this set has been opened as the original tape has been cut, but it is not unusual to find these sets still sealed in the original packaging. Opening the outer box, we see three inner boxes. The individual cars in this set have not been opened before. Do I dare open cars that have been sealed for 35 years?
Dare.
Of course I do. The number 619516 car, entitled When in the Course of Human Events, quotes the first line of the Declaration of Independence, the document that set the United States firmly and irrevocably on the path to independence from Britain. Also on the left side of the car is a depiction of the 13-star flag of the Revolutionary War period. On the right is a graphic reinterpretation of the famous oil painting of Washington crossing the Delaware, commemorating the Continental Army's bold and wildly successful surprise attack on British forces on Christmas night, 1776. The number 619517 car, entitled 407 Years Ago, quotes the first line of President Lincoln's famous Gettysburg Address from the midst of the American Civil War. Next to these famous words is a depiction of the 35-star American flag, which was used in 1863 and 1864, appropriate for the time of the Gettysburg Address. On the right is a representation of Union and Confederate forces attacking one another. The number 619518 car, entitled That's One Small Step for Man, quotes astronaut Neil Armstrong's famous words as he became the first human to set foot on the moon on July 20th, 1969. Next to the text is the 50-star American flag that was appropriate for then and today. On the left is a depiction of an astronaut on the lunar surface next to the flag, with a distant Earth in the background. The cars themselves share much of the same tooling as the 7600 series wood-sided boxcars developed for the Spirit of 76 set from 1974 to 1976. However, the roofs and ends have been redesigned to include wood planking detail and realistic-looking but non-operating ice hatches. The brake wheel has also been moved from the end of the car to the roof walk. Underneath, these cars share the same detailing as the 7600 series cars, but they are all plastic construction, whereas the 7600 series cars have a metal center sill. The MPC-era Symington Wayne trucks have been replaced with an arch bar design, giving the cars a distinctive early 20th century look. A nice change from the typical Lionel boxcar. In my opinion, the one area where these cars are lacking is in the style of the graphics. Lionel had shown by the 1970s that they were capable of producing highly detailed and colorful designs on their rolling stock. The images on these cars, however, look more like late 1980s clip art designs that you would have found on America Online. They do not fit the character of the cars, especially in the case of the Civil War design. But why a set of cars commemorating the American flag in 1989? While it was the 20th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing, which may have been the inspiration behind the 19518 car, I believe there was more to it, because the flag itself was in the news in 1989. In 1984, a man named Gregory Lee Johnson was arrested in Texas for burning a United States flag as part of a demonstration. He was tried and convicted of violating a Texas law prohibiting the desecration of venerated objects, including the American flag. Johnson appealed, and his case was heard by the United States Supreme Court in 1989. At issue was whether burning the flag was protected under the United States Constitution as political speech, or whether it was just a vile act, and the issue became a hot topic for debate among the American public. The production of the Old Glory set may have been an attempt by Lionel to take advantage of the current events and the majority of public opinion at the time that the flag was a venerated symbol and worthy of protection. When a divided court ruled 5-4 that the flag burning was, in fact, protected political speech, many were outraged and called upon Congress to act. And Congress did act, and that same year passed an amendment to the Flag Protection Act of 1968, reaffirming protection for the flag, but also calling upon the Supreme Court to provide a wider ruling on the subject. In 1990, the Supreme Court again ruled 5-4 in another case, United States versus Eichmann, that the government's interest in preserving a symbol does not outweigh one's right to disparage that symbol. Since the Eichmann case in 1990, there have been from time to time calls for the passage of a constitutional amendment to protect the flag, but none of the efforts have come close to bringing such an amendment to fruition. As for the Old Glory series, it seems that the set was not a great seller. A quick internet search shows that some large Lionel dealers still have original stock on their shelves from 1989. Sets can often be found on various internet listings, many of them still sealed, and because of low demand, these sets can usually be found for less than $50, and sometimes for half that much. So, if you're interested in some inexpensive yet historically significant wood-sided reefers, keep your eye out for the Old Glory series. I picked up this set as an addition to my Spirit of 76 set, and the price was right. Despite the somewhat underwhelming graphics, these are neat cars that can add some variety and color to your layout, especially around the patriotic holidays. On that note, let us pause for a moment and reflect on those who gave all in service to their country. And from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time on Toy Train Tips and Tricks.